now. Thank you. Hello, my name is Rashard Snellings. I will be your moderator this evening for the South Fulton Coalition's Town Hall. Tonight we will have our featured speaker, Dr. Latanya Martin Rogers, and she is running for Fulton County Board of Education for District 6. Dr. Rogers, thank you so much for joining tonight. I want to tell you a little bit about the South Fulton Coalition. Our purpose is to preserve and enhance our community and hold our leaders accountable, and to ensure that the city of South Fulton is a wonderful place to live, dine, work, shop, visit, and play. And our mission of the South Fulton Coalition is to implement action programs for the continued improvement, accountability, and integrity of City of South Fulton government and elected officials. Ms. Rogers, thank you so much again for joining. Tonight, I will be your moderator. I will be assisted by my co-moderator, Ron Booth. He will be operating the chat just to make sure we have all of our questions from the residents asked. In the event that a resident does have a question, we encourage them to use the reactions option and raise their hand to ask you any questions. Now we can turn it over to you, Dr. Rogers, for your opening remarks. You have 5 minutes to give your opening remarks, and then we can turn it over to any questions that the voters may have.
All right, so thank you. First thing I want to say is thank you so much for having me here tonight. Thank you to the South Fulton Coalition. Thank you for individuals that may be watching from home. Thank you to the voters. I see one of my friends is online tonight, so I definitely want to say, hey, Taquan, thank you for joining us tonight. Most importantly, thank you for this opportunity to share my platform. My name is Dr. Latanya Martin Rogers, and I am a candidate for the Fulton County School Board in District 6. I am an educator, 20-year plus veteran educator, a community advocate, and former council member for the city of East Point, Georgia. At this time, is it okay for me to begin my presentation, Rashad?
Yes, since you're the only candidate, that'll be fine.
Okay, all right. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and begin screen sharing. All right, I am Dr. Latanya Martin Rogers, professional educator, also a candidate for Fulton County School Board's District 6. On May 24th, I'm asking you to vote for an educator, a historically Black college and university graduate, Morris Brown College, a community advocate, an East Point City Council alumnus, and a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I'd like to share tonight the reason why school boards are important. The school board represents the community's voice in public education, and it provides citizen governance and knowledge of the community's resources, needs, and board members are the policymakers closest to the student. The cornerstones of my campaign are parental engagement. Parents and students need to be equipped with the right tools to ensure success in the classroom. Something that I incorporated that was a need in our district was the Parent University. I incorporated the Parent University back in 2016, 2017, which began as face-to-face meetings once a month. And through those meetings, I provided parents and anyone that had a child in our local educational system with resources, there were financial literacy workshops, there were mental health workshops, there were also workshops stemmed upon healthy dieting, healthy habits, socialization of your child. So these meetings took place in the College Park Library and also the City of East Point Library. I saw that need in my community and wanted to help bridge the gap, to help parents better understand that education is important. And I've been reading recently that education is the great equalizer. Another initiative that I recently developed with a group of parents that reside in District 3. District 3 is represented by another board member. However, there was a need in District 3 in which I began to collaborate with parents in District 3, and we developed another online community, another online platform, which was the District 3 and 6 Schools Matter. Now, this online platform is still geared toward parents, but it's geared toward parents in the entire district of District 3 and 6 combined, so that parents can come together collectively and have resources presented to them, in a helpful and safe manner. Parents are permitted to ask questions, we take polls, and we also provide direct resources to the community. High-end student achievement. So one of my initiatives on this campaign trail is a Save Our Schools initiative. And a Save Our Schools initiative really took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is a 501c3 that was started by millennials. They developed this wonderful campaign that not only benefits students, but it also benefits teachers inside the school. So they do a series of fundraising activities, and all of the money is poured back into that school. So this also helps with academics, it helps with our social emotional pieces, and it garners a sense of ownership throughout the public school community. Two of their initiatives that I'm really fond of is a Pillsbury bike ride. And these millennials collected they fundraised for a lot of money so that each student could have a bike. And their initiative with this program was an after-school bike ride in which many students rode through the city of Minnesota. They learned about art, they learned about STEM, they also learned about math. So this is a part of the high-end achievement that I am going to bring if elected, when I'm elected to the District 6 seat. The other cornerstone of my campaign is problem solving through partnerships. As I have been on this journey, I have found that District 6 lacks really good transparency with a lot of our small business owners, partnerships throughout the district. So local government and community organizations, I would leverage those individuals to see what they would be willing to provide to our students that are in District 6. As I've been on this journey in this campaign trail, I've noticed we have Naturally Fresh, which is off of Buffington Road. I believe it's off Buffington Road. And also the Chick-fil-A corporate office is located in College Park, Georgia. Once elected, I would leverage these corporate offices and these businesses. What can you do or provide for our schools in our community? I would also be willing to go before council members. Again, along this journey, I've learned so much that, our counterparts in North Fulton have established relationships with their governmental agencies in which the local governmental agencies are filling in the gaps of the needs and making contributions and donations to schools when there is a budget shortfall, or there may be an initiative where there is a lack of funding, the business community steps in. So those are one of my problem solving through partnerships initiatives. And safe and smart school communities. There are two programs that I've looked into, and one is a Safe and Sound Youth Council, which is a council pretty much made up of students inside of these schools. I know that since the pandemic, students have dealt with a lot, mentally, physically, emotionally, but one of the initiatives that I am thinking of fostering inside of our schools is a Safe and Sound Youth Council, in which students take ownership for the safety of the entire school. They work with each other to provide peer mentorships. They work with each other to get partnerships with businesses in the local community. But this places the safety of the entire school setting back onto the students that attend school there. Another safe and smart school communities is Not in Our Schools. And this is another initiative that is taking off and done very well in our school system. Well, not in our school system, but in other states. But Not in Our School is just an anti-bullying intolerance initiative that I would like to see in our elementary, middle, and high schools in District 6. And the last cornerstone of my campaign is open dialogue with the county and community. I feel that we should operate on a principle of transparency. There shouldn't be any surprises at the last minute of perhaps a school closing or something that places our parents and our communities at a disadvantage that hasn't been communicated directly with the community. So as I get information, I would immediately share it with the constituents in my community that it is going to directly impact. These are some of the responsibilities of a school board member. The primary duty of the Board of Education is to enact policy. The superintendent and staff enforce the policies to ensure that each student has an equal opportunity for a quality education. And the board member also evaluates educational programs, adopts courses of study, approves personnel recommendations, approves the budget, provides funds for the operation and support of our schools, and approves school attendance boundaries, and acts as a tribunal at certain employee and student hearings. Now, those are the responsibilities of a board member, but I also thought that it was important to bring forth what some current personal initiatives of local board members are. We have Vicki Turner, who was out in DeKalb County, and this is just to show that, in my personal opinion, and what I will do once elected is go beyond the community meetings and go beyond the board meetings. I feel like the school board representative should be out in the community, assisting students, assisting parents, assisting everyone in the community that help make up District 6. So I wanted to provide viewers with just current initiatives of our local board members from around the district. But we have Vicki Turner, who's in DeKalb County, and something that she works on personally is a women's resource center, and she promotes being registered to vote, and she also participates in elder abuse, child sex trafficking, and mortgage fraud community forums. We have Michelle Simmons, who is in Douglasville, Georgia. She has taken it upon herself to be a collaborator with the local sheriff there in Douglasville and also the police chief. And she holds these It Takes a Village, which addresses youth ages 10 to 18 in Douglasville by working in partnership with the local police chief and sheriff. And these programs also provide mentors to children. She also goes beyond her call of duty with conversations with Michelle. She openly discusses the needs of schools that she represents in the county. We have Cherise Davis, who was a newly elected board member in Cobb County, and she has worked on the Kennesaw Teen Center's Black History Bowl. She's been a moderator, and she also participates in Read Across America, and she's been a CNN news commentator for a period of time. And then we also have Francesca Warren, who was on the Fulton County Board of Education, and she represents District 6. Francesca provided us with a State of South Fulton Schools initiative in collaboration with the South Parents for Education, in which she discussed mental health, literacy, and also the importance of mentorship. Francesca also provides Facebook Live chats, book bag drives, teacher school supply drives. She has coordinated beautification committees and also participated in a school bus driver appreciation drive. So these are just some initiatives of our local board members, and I wanted to share that. So let's talk about District 6. The cities that make up District 6 are East Point, Georgia, College Park, Georgia, Union City, Fairburn, Georgia, and the city of South Fulton. District 6 does not make up the entire cities, but it makes up small portions or pockets of these individual cities. There are currently 7 board members, and 2.5 board members represent Fulton County School Board. You have the District 3 representative, District 4, and the District 6 representatives. I want to go ahead and just engage you in the CCRPI. And the CCRPI is just a measurement of our schools. It is called the College and Career Ready Performance Index. And it is Georgia's tool for annually measuring how well schools, districts, and the state are helping students achieve their goals. You can find out more information at www.gadoe.org. And I can also have this link put in the chat. So these are the lists of schools that are in District 6 and the percentage of students represented at each school. I know oftentimes people think that they get confused with their board members. So I did a breakdown of all of the high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools that are in District 6 and the breakdown of the percentage of students represented at each school. So at Banneker High School, 99%, and that is represented by our D6 board member. Creekside, 41%. So the 3 board members, if I didn't say it earlier, they share schools. So we have Creekside at 41%, and the District 4 representative represents 59%. Langston Hughes is represented by 10% of the District 6 representative and 90% by the District 4. And as we go through the list, we have Tri-Cities. Tri-Cities is shared by the District 6 representative and the District 3 representative. And then we have Westlake. The majority of Westlake is represented by our District 4 representative. And going on down to our middle schools, I highlighted the schools in red and the percentage of students represented at each school that is represented by the board member. 100% is District 6. Paul D. West, 33% is District 6 and 67% is District 3. Then we have Sandtown and Woodland Middle Schools. Now, we are looking at the elementary schools now. So Asa Hilliard, Bethune, Brookview, College Park, Conley Hills, Feldwood, Gillette, Hamilton E. Holmes, Heritage, Liberty Point, Oakley, S.L. Lewis, is at 100%, and Seaborn Lee is at 67%. And then we have Wolf Creek represented 8%. So what I wanted to share this evening was just the alarming facts about selected schools in District 6. I spoke earlier about the CCRPI, but as I've been on this journey and talking to parents and just getting feedback from our voters, it is very alarming of our state. It's very alarming in regards to the state of our schools that are currently in District 6. As you can see, College Park is the lowest performing 5% of Title I schools in the state of Georgia, followed by Conley Hills, Bethune, Fellwood, S.L. Lewis, and Paul D. West. They are at the 5 to 10% lowest performing Title I schools in the state when ranked based upon their 3-year CCRPI average. So based upon that information and getting that feedback, this has been the state of our school for several years now. And you cannot see it at the top of my screen. I don't know if you can see it, but I clearly can't see the top of my screen, but this is what Latanya Martin Rogers will do to help turn things around in District 6. And this is my solid plan of action. As an educator, it puts you on the front lines of education every single day. I have 23 years of teaching experience in which I work with principals, teachers, parents, and also community leaders. I'm going to help bring some balance to the District 6, to District 6. I believe that I have the skill set in order to help turn things around, and I would be the first educator elected to this seat. So as you see here, some of the things that I seek out to do and help in order to turn things around in District 6 is to first start with a listening tour of all schools in District 6. And this listening tour includes listening to the community, you, the parents, our principals, our bus drivers, custodians. Everyone has a hand in our students' educational process. And the only way that I can do this work to really turn things around is to first listen and find out what the true needs of District 6 are. In College Park Elementary has a food bank. So I know I'd solicit help to make sure that their food bank shelves are not empty. So each school in District 6 has a particular need, but how can you fulfill those needs if you don't start out first with just by listening to your constituents, to parents, to people that are genuinely concerned about their students inside of our schools? I would also like to host meetings throughout District 6 and student community meetings. The last several months, I've had the opportunity to listen to students. And our students get news through the internet, well, quickly through IG. And I've learned a lot through just sitting down, talking with elementary, middle, and high school students, just finding out or inquiring, what do you think school is about? What should your school day look like? Are they experiencing bullying? What are some things that they would do to make their thing? What are some things that they would like to see to make their schools better? So those have really been some genuine hard conversations to have, but I have to listen to the people that I would like to serve. One thing that I would do is consult with a selected mentor, a board member that is locally here in Georgia and someone out of state. One thing that I've learned as an educator is you have to continue, or in any profession, you have to continue to build upon your skill set. So one of the first things that I would like to do is to seek out a mentor within the state of Georgia and also outside the state of Georgia who could guide me in this work. I would also meet with the deputy superintendent, who is Stephanie Johnson. She's at the Georgia Department of Education. And I would ask her those hard questions. Where do we start? Where do we begin? And I would seek out her expertise in regards to turning things around in District 6. I won't be silent on the issues that affect District 6. I will continue to working and establishing and maintaining partnerships. We have really good 501c3 nonprofit organizations that are already doing the work. I would tap into them. What can we do to bring you on board to the masses of our elementary, middle, and high schoolers in District 6? I'd be visible in our community. Again, I've been doing this work. I've been doing this work since 2018. I actually ran for this seat back in 2018. And although I was not successful, I was disappointed. However, it has not stopped me from doing the work. I've continued to attend school board meetings. School board meetings are not televised. Well, public comments are not televised publicly. So something that I've been doing to get information out there to the masses and to the people most affected in District 6 is going live at the school board meetings and sharing them among the masses in the different Facebook platforms that are on Facebook, Instagram, anyone that I can share information with in regards to what is happening in our schools, that is what I've been doing. I'll be responsive. If you send me an email or any type of communication, I will be responsive to you. And what is most important is keeping the community informed. 4 schools were slated to be built that voters voted on back in 2016 through something called the E-Splash. And it is the opportunities for voters to say, yes, we want to pay the extra money to help rebuild our community, to help rebuild our schools. Back in 2016, voters voted to rebuild 4 schools, 2 in North Fulton and 2 in South Fulton. The 2 schools in North Fulton slated, they were rebuilt and they have opened this school year and not a rock was turned over in the city of East Point and College Park. The 2 schools in North Fulton, Riverwood and Crabapple Middle School, and the 2 schools in South Fulton were Conley Hills in East Point, Georgia, and Frank McLaren in College Park, Georgia. No rebuild. Community was not notified. As I was attending these school board meetings, and it was a discussion on tearing down a school in East Point, Georgia, I began to notify the community. I felt that it was my duty to notify the community that there was discussion in regards, or there was a decision being made without us. No one in the community knew the plans of the Fulton County School Board. And so I began to galvanize everyone from the mayor in East Point, the mayor in College Park, local elected officials, parents, teachers, people that just had a genuine concern. The D9 organizations, we have Omega Psi Phi fraternity that volunteers every Wednesday at Connolly Hills Elementary School, and no one knew the plans of the Fulton County School Board. And so I sounded the alarm. I felt that it was my duty to let the community know this is what is happening. And it was a long fight. I believe that we attended those meetings for maybe 8 or 9 months and put the pressure on the Fulton County School Board until they found land to rebuild Conley Hills Elementary School. Land, I would like to mention, that they've owned for 2 decades in the city of East Point. And you may have seen the news or the chatter about Frank McLaren High School, downtown College Park. That was our work. That was me working in the community, working for the best needs of the community. I will continue to support organizations that serve our communities. We have a lot of organizations that I've worked alongside in regards to District 6. Around the corner, we have in Atlanta, it's not in Atlanta, well, yes, Atlanta Community Food Bank, in which I prepared food boxes to provide to College Park Elementary in downtown College Park, and also to residents through a food drive-through. There's also Smart Lunch, Smart Kids, which is around the corner from my house, which is in Atlanta Ministry. They prepare boxes to distribute to all students in the Fulton County school system. And last but not least, what I would like to do once I'm elected is develop an advisory board. Of course, you can't be everywhere all of the time, but if you have the right people on your team providing you with counsel, providing you with information, hey, I think that we can do this better, or I think that here's an idea. Someone called me the other day in regards to a high school in District 6 with an initiative that they wanted to do personally. So you have to have an advisory board because, again, you cannot do this work alone. I'd like you all to be a part of history and elect the first educator to the Fulton County School Board in District 6. There have been educators elected in District 4, but in District 6, I will be the first educator elected to this seat. Early voting starts on May 2nd and ends on May 20th. And you can also connect with me at www.rogersforschoolboard.com. I am on Facebook at Elect Latanya D6, Instagram at Rogers for School Board, TikTok. I have 2 videos on TikTok, so please enjoy them. Twitter at DRLM Rogers. My telephone number is 470-683-3539, and you can reach me via email at rogersforschoolboard@gmail.com.
Wow, thank you so much for that presentation.
I will take any questions that you have at this time. I am going to, I'll put my contact information and candidate information in the chat box.
All right, thank you so much. Just a reminder for the audience, if you have any questions for Dr. Rogers, please use the reactions option and raise your hand and we will acknowledge you and we will take you off of mute. So I don't see any hands raised, so I'll ask the first question. So,
all right.
Yeah, so I actually went to middle school in Newport News, Virginia, back in the late 90s, rather. And I was in this program called Dropout Prevention, where what they did was they had business owners, they would send their top employees over to the schools, sit with the students, talk to the students, help out with homework and things of that nature. What ideas do you have where you could incorporate business owners in the education process?
Well, I believe that is, well, first, let me go back to my term as an East Point council member and why I know that I'm the right fit for this work. But as a council member, and I realize as an elected official, you must use your seat and you must get out and do the work of the will of the people. So during my term as a council member in the city of East Point, one of the things that I was able to do was bring the first public-private partnership to East Point with the Georgia Soccer Park. They are still in partnership to this day. So they collaborate now with the Parks and Rec Department in the city of East Point. We broke ground on a new building maybe about 2 years ago. So now students are also receiving after-school tutorial services once COVID surpasses. They still have this partnership in the city of East Point where students will receive free soccer services. They will receive educational and tutorial services through the city of East Point. Something else that I did as a council member is created internships we did a memorandum of understanding with the Atlanta Metropolitan College, and students in East Point received first priority if they attended Atlanta Metropolitan College for those internships in the city of East Point. So students had internships in watershed management, the mayor's office. They had internships with our police force, with the fire department, with the city clerk's office. So one thing that I talk about all the time is being an advocate from your seat. If you cannot directly impact the people that elected you there and represent the people, then why are you there? Something that I would like to see with small businesses or just businesses in general that are within a 2 to 5 mile radius of a school, I would be willing with the advisory board or other stakeholders in the community draft letters and emails and advocate for what can your business do for College Park Elementary? What can your business do for Bethune Elementary? What type of internship programs can you provide for the students at Banneker High School? I also think that it takes a collaborative effort with local government officials. One thing that I learned as a former council member is when people come into your city to do business, the first thing that you should advocate for is maybe 20% of the jobs going to residents in that community. And then you may want to also advocate, well, what will you do for our schools? Will they provide books, a set of books for children? That's not hard at all. Will they be a partner in education? So what I would like to do is draft letters, sit down and meet with our big box business owners, with our entrepreneurs, with small business owners to see what they can bring to our schools in the community. We have, I believe in Union City, there's a movie studio. Kids are really into movie studios and technology. What can that movie studio do for students that are thinking of a potential career in movies or technology or screenwriting or plays? So I am willing to advocate from my seat. Some of the things that a lot of people have told me on this journey, a lot of things that concern the parents just aren't being discussed. Food resources, what is available to them in District 6. So those are some of the things that I would like to see as far as our business communities are concerned. I would like to work alongside local governments and find out what schools are in that area and what are the businesses willing to do for our students, because students really are our future.
Thank you so much for that response. I appreciate it. Just a reminder, if anyone in the audience has any questions, please feel free to use the reactions option, raise your hand, and I will acknowledge you. I see the next question is from Ron Booth. You have the floor.
Hello, Dr. Rogers. First of all, that was a wonderful presentation. I learned a lot watching it. My question is, you mentioned that there are lower performing schools like College Park, and as a board member, I'm wondering what you'll do to improve their performance.
Unmute. I'm sorry about that. I was having some technical difficulty with unmuting myself. One thing that I'd like to say is that I'm on the front lines of education every day. I'm a public school teacher. I teach second grade. Super second grade is what I call the class. But as a board member, again, it's advocacy work. College Park is one of those targeted schools. It's on Fulton County Schools website. It's been presentations done about it for the last 3 to 4 years, not only College Park, but the other schools that are listed in the presentation. But as a board member, but also as an experienced educator and also as an experienced advocate, I'd have to talk about it. I'd have to galvanize my community. I'd have to tap into those resources that are in the community, and resources meaning what is surrounding College Park. All of those small businesses, if you travel down College Park, their main street, lots of restaurants down that way. You have Virgil's. You also have the Corner Grill. College Park is a city that is taken off, but I would have to tap into the resources that would be readily available to me in College Park to see what they would be willing to do to help me turn the schools around. But it all takes advocacy work. It takes being on the front lines and advocating and talking about, well, this is College Park's score. What do we need? Do we need someone to do a donation of little libraries? Well, College Park has quite a few little libraries set up, but one thing that I noticed while traveling, you have a set of apartments directly across from College Park Elementary School. There isn't a little library near the school. So it just takes advocacy work and tapping into those people that believe in you and believe in your vision for the school, everything can be reset. I'm a graduate of Morris Brown College, and we are well on our way to having our accreditation back and financial aid. So everything takes the right people in the right place, utilizing their position to make the ask. So for College Park Elementary, I would make the ask. I would tap into PTA, small businesses, their local government, and just shed additional light on these are the things that are needed at College Park Elementary, and are you willing to help me?
Thank you. Ron Booth, next question.
Well, I'm happy to have you all to myself, Dr. Rogers, since no one else is asking questions, so I'll ask another one. We see that one of your initiatives is safe and smart school communities to foster a safe learning environment. If you're elected as the school board representative for District 6, what will you do to ensure that bullying is eradicated in District 6 schools? And you're on mute again.
I just unmuted you.
Okay, thank you. So the Safe and Sound Schools is a youth council initiative. One thing that I found is in doing this work is oftentimes the children are in the school building, right? So we'll have our hands on the children. But I think oftentimes we have to also inform our parents of what is going, and also put emphasis on parents with some of these initiatives and some of these things that are happening in our schools. But the Safe and Sound Schools, it is a youth council initiative, which puts ownership back on our students in school. But as with anything, I also believe in informing the entire community of any initiative. We have to first start with the students and get them to buy into the initiative and not be afraid, because as educators, as parents, as community leaders, as people that are standing in the gap for our students, something that we are competing with on a constant and daily basis is the internet and social media. But Safe and Sound Schools is a youth council initiative, and it allows students to have a voice of safety. We have to get our students to understand that it's okay to inform. It is okay. We have to build a culture of it is okay to inform if someone brings a gun to school. It is okay to inform if one of my good friends is LaDon, well, that's not her name, Dorsey. Dorsey is a sex trafficking advocate. So she knows things that are going on with our students that we just don't talk about. So I think that it is okay to get students to buy in, to let them know that it's okay to be a good student. It's okay to tell if your friend has an uncle and he picks her up during the school day and they may go off somewhere. It is okay. We have to give students a platform to be heard, but that particular initiative puts ownership back on the students, and it provides a safe space for them to talk and communicate with one another, that it is okay to inform. It's okay to report, because I think oftentimes a lot of us don't know what's going on until either it has happened or a student is afraid and they inform. So it's a culture. This is going to be a culture shift and provide a safe space for children to have more ownership with the safety of their school. It also provides service projects where students can work together with one another, and it helps build relationships throughout the school community.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
No, you didn't, but I just wanted to close out with saying, most importantly, it allows students to be role models. So thank you for your question.
All right, Ron Booth, Next question.
I'm going to keep on asking them if no one else does. You mentioned, Dr. Rogers, the film industry and getting schools involved in different capacities, which I think is great and fun for students. And I'm wondering what other activities that students would consider fun that you're considering implementing for District 6.
All right. I'm sorry. So, I mean, it's a variety of activities that are fun. I think college tours are fun, but that may not be fun for everyone. But that is where that advisory council would come into place and working with parents and students in the community. That is, I'd have to get advisement. That is where the town halls begin, by listening to my students at the elementary level, because at the elementary level, the kids are talking about becoming YouTube stars. At middle school, it may be something else. At high school, there are different levels of playing fields as far as what is considered fun to some students. But something that I consider fun is the Tri-Cities art program. That theater program that they have at Tri-Cities is wonderful. The boys basketball team, they went all the way to the state this year. So that is where I know what I like to do for fun. I mean, I enjoy antique shopping, but that is where coming and listening to your needs and the will of community would come into place, those listening sessions. When I had the opportunity to talk to some middle schoolers, one young lady was interested in being a doctor. She wanted to take a field trip to Grady. So that may have been fun to her. Another young lady that I met was interested in making jewelry. So it all comes through listening to the needs of the students in District 6, the parents in District 6, the stakeholders that are inside of District 6. I know that I mentioned the Omega Psi Phi fraternity. They work with Conley Hills Elementary School. And if the students are really good in this mentorship program, on Fridays, they go to the school with hot dogs, and those kids get to have a special lunch with their mentors. So it just depends on the needs and the wants of the community. And I get that valuable information by having those listening sessions and giving students and their parents and also teachers a platform to be listened to.
Thank you. As a reminder, if you have any questions for Dr. Rogers, please use the reactions option and raise your hand. While we're waiting for questions, I have a question for you. Now, I have no children, so how would you sell to me a potential tax increase that I would have to pay if I don't have children that are actually using the school system? And I'm unmuting you.
Well, I've heard a lot of people say that throughout this journey, that I don't have taxes. Well, no, I don't have children, so why should I care? I think that anyone who is a property owner, anyone that lives in a community, anyone that works or plays in a community has a vested interest in that community. Oftentimes, I mean, I pay car insurance and I don't have that many accidents, but I still have to pay my car insurance. So I just try to tell people to look at it as a way of paying it forward. And that is something that I learned while growing up. I didn't always make the right choices and decisions, but everyone in my community had a hand in my education. And by that, I mean the cafeteria worker, the manager of my school's cafeteria was my next door neighbor. My third grade teacher was my Sunday school teacher. The custodian growing up sang in the choir at my church. So I sell it as you're standing in the gap for someone that doesn't have a voice quite yet. So I need you to stand in that gap. And with that being said, some of the schools in District 6 don't have PTAs or student governance councils set up yet. Already received one commitment from an HOA community that is offered to stand in that gap for the principal and the students of that school. So I just try to advise people to look at it in a way that you're standing in the gap and you're paying it forward to someone else.
Thank you so much. I see we have our first question from the audience, and it has a name of Dee Dee. Can you announce your name and ask your question to Dr. Rogers? Thank you.
Yes, my name is Daniel Dishman. I am a parent of several students in South Fulton. In addition, I've lived in South Fulton for over 20 years now. And I've essentially, the perception and stuff has always been the same. And from a standpoint of, it's always viewed as if you're living on the South Side, then automatically you're already behind, or you don't have as many resources. So to make a long story short, have you considered perhaps maybe putting some emphasis on certain things that speaks to the culture of our community? For example, the South Side specifically, has many named entities and persons who are global icons, who are in the field of entertainment and entrepreneurship. There are many businesses, mine being one of them as well, where we've done various things in corporate America, and we've also done various things in the entrepreneurship arena. And outside of STEM, there are people and entities that are more than willing to assist the school system, as well as engage the children in an exciting way, because our world is centered around taking your talents and monetizing it and showing you how education can play into that role. Is there an avenue that would allow the path to assisting become a lot easier and less, quote unquote, for lack of better terms, less red tape, versus someone says, hey, I'm willing, if you allow us to gain access to whatever necessary tools, we could solve a lot of problems. And pardon for the extended time. I just was able to get on the call, so I wasn't aware if you have already addressed that or not.
Okay, so let me say this. Can you please give me your number? That is something that must be advocated for. One of the cornerstones of my campaign, which I did not take a deeper dive into it, was high-end student achievement. And for me, what high-end student achievement means is that you're reaching students at all levels, from your special ed student to your talented and gifted student, because everyone is not going to go to college. Everyone is not going to have a 4-year track where they go and get a master's degree or a doctorate degree. My brother is an elevator repairman, and he makes more money than me and my other siblings. So, as I stated earlier, one of my initiatives as a council member was to make sure students had internship programs. I am going to continue to do what is in the best needs of students. So as I said, from the special ed student to your talented and gifted student, to your student that may want to open his own barber shop, or a student that may want to open a bake shop, there should be all avenues for students to have that success. And another cornerstone of my campaign is partnerships, problem solving through partnerships. That is another cornerstone of my campaign. And as you said yourself, Dee Dee, we have people that are willing to do the work. We have to begin now to tap into those people. If someone calls up, I spoke to someone just recently and they wanted to donate books to a school in District 6. If you call me and want to donate books, that is fine with me. If it is a conversation about turning things around in District 6 for the better and turning things around for these students that are inside this school, these schools, because education is a great equalizer, I am willing to sit down and advocate for everything that every child needs in District 6. So please share your contact information with me. And once I am elected, let's get to work on some things. Let's get to work on some things.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you so much for that question. For those in the chat, for those in the audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your electronic hand and I will acknowledge you so you can ask Dr. Rogers any questions you may have about education or the school system for District 6. All right, we have a question from Courtney. Courtney, I see your hand. You have the floor. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, Dr. Rogers. I wanted to know, well, for me as a parent, what ideas or plans do you have to bridge the gap between parents and the schools? Because there are, especially when it comes to special ed, there are a lot of questions that I have and I don't know necessarily where to go to get my answers.
Thank you, Courtney, for your question. Well, one of my initiatives that has been an initiative for quite some time is something called the Parent University. And that was something that I developed back in 2017, which started face-to-face, but due to COVID, it is a complete online platform. Through the Parent University, it has put me in touch with parents and how to direct them to additional resources that are readily available in their communities. I've also been working with another group that is entitled Do Not EIP Alone, and it is also an online-based community group that is set up through Facebook, so parents do not have to IEP alone. And for those that are listening, that's the Individualized Education Plan. I feel that community meetings should be of service to the community. One thing that I would like to see at a community meeting that I would potentially host is you have to share information that is going on in the district, but you also have to meet your parents in that community where they are. So my community meetings would more or less be set up as community meetings, but community meetings of value and substance. And what I mean by that would be like something that Dee Dee said. It may be an entrepreneur that wants to come and have the floor for 1 hour. He may be able to share information through my community meeting that may be of value to the students and the parents in that community. Something, as you stated, our parents of special ed students, they do have the resources, but sometimes if you have a student in special ed, you really don't know where to go. So what I would like to see for District 6 after my listening tour is community meetings that really meet the needs of community. I would like to bring out specialists. You have people that are specialized in mental health initiatives. You also have like one of the young ladies that she is the administrator of the Facebook group, Don't EIP Alone, constantly putting information out there for parents. So I would like those communities set up with things that are of substance and value to the people in that community. So that was one of my initiatives that I would like to pursue once I'm elected to the Fulton County School Board. Making the community meetings a platform so that parents could come and receive information that is of value, communicating with them so that they could receive information that is of value to them. Thank you so much for your question.
And Courtney, did you have a follow-up question? Because I see your hand is still raised.
No, I'm sorry, I did not.
All right, thank you so much. As a reminder, if anyone in the audience has any questions for Dr. Rogers, please feel free to raise your hand and I will acknowledge you. And I'm looking in the chat right now. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Now, Dr. Rogers, is there any topics that you did not address in your presentation that you think is vital that you speak to us about?
No, I think that I would like to hear from what are some of the things that we have 16 participants on the call. What are some of the things that they would like to see or do in District 6? I know that Dee said that he is an entrepreneur, he is a business owner. What are some things that I can start to think about while we are having this conversation? If you just drop that information in the chat, I would love to write down some of the ideas. I'd like to hear from the community at this time. I know that Courtney mentioned special education. So that is now something that is definitely on my radar. But are there any, I would like to hear from the community at this time.
I'm sorry, finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat, and Tracy wants to know if you support all testing such as milestones. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are this. To some degree, I do support state testing, but since we've been in a pandemic for the last almost 2.5 years of many students' academic careers, I would support programs that help bridge the gaps and bridge the needs of our students academically. I think that we can possibly put milestones on the back table until everyone can have just a hard reset. And by that, I mean, we started back school this year. We are still wearing masks. Students are still struggling academically. What will the data say for Georgia milestones at this time? I know that it is a measurement used with the state of Georgia, but perhaps we should have moved to maybe end of grade testing. All of those skills and concepts that were taught from August until the end of the school year. But milestones testing, I really don't believe that the state of Georgia teachers, students, parents are really ready to pursue Georgia milestone testing at this time because of the severe impact of COVID-19 on our students and their academic performance. If you think about it, my second graders, the last time that my second grade students, and I don't have the information handy, I'll try to put it up there before we leave, but the last time my second graders were in school, they were in kindergarten. So what information will the Georgia milestones yield at this time? Because now we are playing catch up. Now we have to fill those educational deficits, not only for my second graders, but I believe that some students, the last time they were in school may have been 10th grade and now they're seniors now. So what exactly will the Georgia milestones yield at this time? I am for state testing, but since we have been in the middle of the pandemic, I think that what needs to be provided to teachers and students and parents everywhere is just a little bit of grace. And we look for innovative ways to fill those educational deficits, maybe acceleration in the classroom, perhaps a summer program before school learning, after school learning. So that is where I am now on the Georgia milestones. And thank you so much for your question.
All right, thank you for that response. Shay Steed, I see you have your hand raised. You may ask your question.
Yes, I thank you. Appreciate it. I just have a short question, and you might have I wasn't here for the very beginning. You might have addressed it already, but this school year with my third grader, I really got familiar with executive functioning and how it looks for elementary, middle, up to high school. What are your thoughts on executive function, and how can it be, especially on a high school, middle school level, how can it be a part of those kids' school day as far as outside the classroom? Thank you.
You should be able to unmute yourself now.
Well, I think you said that you have a third grader. So the last time that your child was in school was first grade?
No, she's in private school, and so she's been back. They were out the entire second grade, and what's the time has gone by so fast. I didn't even see that long ago. Let's see, they went to virtual, I think the second semester of second grade, and then all of third grade they've been back virtual. I mean, been back in class.
Okay, so she was out of school when?
Just the second semester. Whenever the COVID started, they went to complete virtual that second semester, which would have been what, 2020?
Is it 2020?
Mm-hmm. But her school they didn't follow the same virtual requirements that Atlanta and Fulton County did. Exactly. Being a smaller private school.
Okay, so with her executive functioning, you want to know what you can do at home, or you want to know what to do in school? Because
no, I'm clear on it with her. I'm just asking your perspective on it for Fulton County schools, especially for middle and high school students who are, like you just said, are coming back into the classroom, and they've missed a lot of interaction in the classroom. So how can executive functioning get them, how can the school offer that to get them back on track and in the mindset?
Right, because the mindset, I hear you. Well, I think it's something that can be advocated for as far as helping students develop their executive functioning skills. It's probably the implementation of all types of coaches, right? We have reading coaches, math coaches, but that is something I would like to do more research on, and also possibly advocate for, because they do have executive functioning coaches that are readily available. Fulton County Schools has $1 billion budget, and I am willing to advocate for the needs of what is best for students in District 6. So if an executive functioning coach is needed in every school at the beginning, at that elementary level, then I will advocate for executive functioning coaches. I know something that is needed is school nurses in every school. Something that I've heard people talk a lot about on this journey is psychologists and social workers in every school. Fulton County Schools has the reserves for social workers in every school and for everything that needs to be advocated for in order to make a school better. So I am willing to advocate for the needs of those schools and for the children in those schools. So social workers, school psychologists, school nurses, executive functioning coaches. If that is a need of our elementary, middle, and high schools, then that is something that I'm willing to advocate for.
Thank you so much for that response. I would like to turn it over to Ron Booth.
Okay, Dr. Rogers, this question is from the chat, from DD. He wants to know, why is cursive writing no longer being taught in school, and what can be done to bring it back, or is that even an option? Unmute.
Yes, I'm unmuted now. I started teaching back in, I don't want to age myself, but maybe the late 90s. And I guess, I remember touching on cursive writing, maybe at the elementary level, but I think now education has transitioned and changed so much. We have all of these not policies, but legislation put in place that sometimes you have to focus on the standards that you're teaching. And I don't know if cursive writing was possibly a standard that just was not taught across the boards in school. And the standard once moved from, okay, we're not going to teach cursive writing. I know one of the standards for second grade is just to write legibly. In my years of teaching, I vaguely remember having to teach cursive writing, because one thing that we have to think about is that education is constantly changing. It's always a constant shift. When I first started teaching, I don't know if you all remember overhead projectors and risographs. That's how I had to make my copies. That's how I had to have students look at things on the board. It was through an overhead projector. And I had those little sheets I had to write on and clean off. But now we have something called a Promethean board, where I can use something like this. Oh, you can't see it, but it is a thumb drive. I can put my lesson on here, put it on the side of my computer, and automatically teach, and it is projected on the Promethean board. So there have been so many changes and shifts in education that I think along the way, somewhere, somehow, cursive writing just was not important anymore. It wasn't important enough for everyone to teach across the board. We just wanted students to come and teach legibly. So it says, why is cursive writing no longer being taught, and what can be done to bring it back? If you'd like me to advocate for cursive writing, DD, I can advocate for it, but I just think now at this juncture, and then with the use of texting and computers, I have second graders that are now functioning through Google Drive documents. So education is constantly changing. Books are no longer books anymore. We have Kindles that we've rolled out. Education just continues to progress with technology, that I believe cursive writing it's become obsolete. But that's something that I'm willing to advocate for, cursive writing. But I do know that the standard across the board in all grades is just to be able to write legibly.
Thank you. Dee, you have the floor. Please ask your question.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. I like to share a different perspective, and I would like to give a direct example, speaking specifically to our schools. Cursive writing is absolutely huge, because documents, contracts that these talented kids will be signing, everything is not always digital. And in the field, if you're coming out of Tri-Cities and School of Performing Arts, and you are a master painter and your signature is not on it, that's the difference in that same picture going for, say, a few hundred versus being auctioned for thousands. And I'm just sharing from an experience of from a perspective of experience and or business. And with some projects that I've done and just other cases that I've dealt with, if your signature is not on it, you're not valued as being esteemed. And I think in certain cases, if you go back to some of the problems that, you all may have discussed earlier, someone may not necessarily be an educator in a traditional sense, a doctor, lawyer, or any STEM per se, but this person is the one that can be the next, for lack of better terms, Picasso. So if that person isn't able to sign their document, in certain cases, even going to the bank, you still have to sign checks and things of that nature. And I've witnessed several times where kids over the last 20 years, they're graduating, they go open a bank account, they don't know how to sign a check. And it doesn't look appealing when people who may be in other areas, even if it's not in the curriculum, but it's something that's in the budget that says for students who are willing to learn code word, you're going to be the boss. You're going to be running corporations or what have you. Your signature matters. Just like all the other campaigns that go around, I'm a firm believer that signature matters, because if no other person, it matters to me in my field. You have to be able, those signatures are just as valuable as your name, your social security, because something that you might have created, that you own, and the world is loving your creation stemming from Tri-Cities, your signature gives you that ultimate confidence. So I think it's very important to at least take into consideration that, kids need to know how to sign their own names and not be a victim of someone else controlling your life. Technology companies and so forth, the people that run them, they know how to sign their name and don't want them to just be task completers versus innovators, creators, and the next Dr. Rogers, perhaps. They need to know how to write their signature. I'm a firm believer that that can be done. And even if a budget was created for some form of after school, it doesn't take much. I think
Right.
it can be done.
All right. And I will have to agree with you, because now that I've heard your thoughts on cursive writing, that gave me a little time, but you are absolutely correct. Cursive writing would help build those fine motor skills, and students do need a signature. But according to the state of Georgia, Georgia requires instruction of cursive writing typically in the 3rd grade. However, since it's not assessed at the state level and is left to local determination for assessment, in most Georgia schools, cursive writing is no longer being taught. But you have given me another initiative to work towards. You are absolutely right. When you are traveling, or even oftentimes when I'm looking at the Beltline, those artists have signed their name to it. So that is probably a portion of the curriculum that can be advocated for. And like you said, either in an after-school program or a before-school program, if that is something that parents and stakeholders would like to see happening in District 6, then I'm willing to work toward that goal. So thank you for helping me put a tool in my toolbox, Dee Dee.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to turn it over to Ron Booth.
So again, Dr. Rogers, there's a question in the chat from Tracy Hesselway, and her question is, how can Fulton County work to retain teachers, staff in this competitive labor market?
We have to pay them. We have to pay them. I remember at one point in time, Atlanta Public Schools was the school system to go in work for because it was a well-paying system. At the time, teachers with a bachelor's degree could possibly enter Atlanta Public Schools with a $50,000. They provided sign-on bonuses. We have to value our teachers that work with our students, and that just means advocating for better salaries for our teachers so that money is a resource and we all need it, right? We have to value our teachers either with our salaries, either with our sign-on bonuses, we have to do something to, what do I want to say? Provide additional initiatives for teachers to sign on with us, whether that be a discount with car insurance. We have to make coming to the District of Fulton County more lucrative for teachers, and we do that by increasing teacher pay, by incentivizing our teachers to come. Providing professional development to teachers may incentivize a teacher to come. One district that I worked in Clayton County years ago, one of the incentives was to provide teachers with a gifted and talented endorsement. So that is something that would incentivize teachers to stay in a district. Something that would also incentivize teachers to stay in a district is being able to move up through a possible leadership track. Some teachers stay in the teaching profession where they work for 30 years as an educator, which is excellent. But we also have to have leadership tracks for our teachers. All teachers advance to assistant principals. Sometimes teachers move on to being school counselors, speech therapists, psychologists. We have to incentivize our teachers to come to the district, and we do that by having incentives for those teachers to come. I know at one time I was reading the paper, and an incentive that one city was doing for police officers were providing them with a discount with their mortgages to move into certain communities or areas. They would get a discount on their mortgage for moving to a certain area. So I think that there are a variety of ways to retain our teachers, but we have to think outside the box with our incentives, paying back, or I know that one district offered the talented and gifted certification. There's ESOL certification. English is a second only language, but we have to incentivize our we have to provide incentives to our teachers so that they would want to stay in the district and not go anywhere else. We could possibly look into working with the Chamber of Commerce. What can the Chamber of Commerce offer in our cities that would help us retain good teachers? So there are many ideas and ways out there for us to retain good teachers. But I know one of those ways is to provide incentives to stay. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you. And we're going to take our final question from Dee Dee. Now, if you can just ask your question directly to Dr. Rogers, and Dr. Rogers, when you answer his question, if you could also incorporate your closing remarks along with his question, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Dee Dee, you have the floor. Please only ask your question. You should be unmuted.
Yes, I didn't have a question. It was an error. I touched it by accident, but thank you.
Okay, but thank you so much. Now, Dr. Rogers, if you could just incorporate if you could just go into your closing remarks as we wrap up, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for this opportunity to share my platform and my vision District 6. I would like for you to, I'm humbly asking everyone on this call to vote for me beginning May 2nd up until May 20th. I am a veteran educator, and I would like you all to be a part of the history that will be made by electing the first educator to the District 6 seat. Community advocate, and I simply want to stand in the gap for our children and make District 6 what it can be, and that is the best district in schools. To learn more information about me and my campaign, please visit www.rogersforschoolboard.com. Please remember, District 6 schools matter, and I will always put our students first. Thank you so much for this opportunity again.
Thank you so much for joining, and for everybody that's in the audience, I thank you for joining as well. Just to let you know about our upcoming town hall on Monday, this is the town hall meeting with Robert Kelly and Marvin Arrington for Fulton County Commissioner for District 5. So please tune into that one. That one will be an important one to watch. So I would like to just thank everybody for coming out tonight. And Dr. Rogers, if you could put your information, your contact information in the chat so everyone has it. Thank you so much. And I will unmute you 1 second. Okay, you should be unmuted.
Okay, do you want me to put my information in the chat?
Yeah, so
Okay.
everybody has access to it. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, I'm doing that now.
All right. And I am definitely gonna go check out those TikTok videos.
Oh. I have to get some more up there. All right. So IG is there, Facebook, IG. All right, here is TikTok. And Twitter. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. And we will make a copy of this video available to you. Hopefully it'll be up on our website tomorrow, and I'll send you the email with the link as well. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.